What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, and I have once again my esteemed co-host, Isaac from Hunger Smash Fitness. What's up, Isaac? And we have two great guests for you this evening, one of whom is here already, the Cotton brothers, Tyler Cotton and Jonathan Cotton, the fabric of our lives. We have some great guests this evening. Tyler, you have qualified for Giants Live, so I want to talk a little bit about that. We'll get to that a bit later, and I definitely want to talk about all the cool contests your brother's done in SCL last year as well, and what he's looking forward to as well. But so happy to have you on. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It took a little bit of time. We had arranged this a few months in a back-to-back or whatever, but I work nights and you tend to do this at night. So, but yeah, it's good to be on. Yeah, Giants Live. That was the most recent thing that I've qualified for, and I haven't really heard anything from them as far as like scheduling. But I know Pavlo just recently, I think he just posted that he heard back. He's going to Europe's Strongest Man. And
oh, nice.
I'm sure down the line here, I'll reach back out to Colin Bryce or one of those guys and figure out which one they want me to do. So
yeah, they can't leave you out just because you're not European.
Yeah. So I had a couple conversations with him at OSG after the show, and he had mentioned potentially just doing the log record section of, I guess that's Europe's that they have it at. And I thought that would be pretty cool, but I kind of want to do a full show for my first Giants Live, try to leave a good impression. I don't want to just have everything riding on a log record, because a lot of stuff can go wrong when you're aiming that high. So
although
we'll see.
With the way you're Viper pressing those logs, though, I feel like you should have the log record already, because you've gotten really close.
I had an attempt. What was that? Clash on the Coast over in Hilton Head, and what's his name? Ended up getting it. Bobby Thompson ended up taking. I mean, it was his all day long. He pretty much strict pressed it and then just held it at the top like it was nothing. That day wasn't a very shining moment of mine. It's pretty hot out, and I don't know. I just kept, as soon as I looked back, I was getting very, very lightheaded. So I think I made it up to 440, 450, whatever that one was, the first attempt, and then fell out at the second attempt. So maybe one of these days I'll take another run at it. But I think I'll probably save the Giants Live. I think I'm most interested in the Strongman Classic, the show at the Royal Albert Hall. That seems like an awesome show. So I'm going to mention that to Colin and see if I can wiggle my way in there. I don't know how much say I have in it, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the venue was incredible last year. I think last year was the first one they did there, right? So this will be the second annual at Royal Albert Hall, but the venue's incredible. It was a lot of energy at Giants Live shows, so really looking forward to seeing you compete there. And I think I agree with you on kind of doing a full show versus the one event, because for me, you're a well-rounded athlete. You know, you're strength and speed, not necessarily just kind of a specialist in one thing only, like, you know, like some other athletes maybe.
Yeah, I would say that overhead things tend to be my my strong points, and then everything else is up to par. I mean, deadlift is lacking a little bit. Now you have guys on a routine basis pulling 900 to 1,000 pounds, pretty much everybody. So I'm lacking there, and then I've always struggled with like farmer's carry or anything grip related. So this year and pretty much half of last year, I spent a lot of time trying to work that and bring that up to be competitive at this level, because you're seeing farmers walks that are 365, 400, and even higher. So that's always been a struggle for me, but we're getting there. It's a process.
Yeah, I mean, I saw an Instagram post where Evan Singleton was doing 460 per hand. It's just unfathomable to a layman like myself.
Yeah, see that's what I'm seeing. I have that show coming up right now, Siberian Power Show, and they had gone back and forth. I still don't know exactly what the event's going to be. I think they had mentioned a frame carry of 850, I think, and then possibly it being switched to a farmer's, like a 400 per hand, 30-meter course. So we'll see. Either way, it'll be interesting to see how much the grip work has paid off.
How soon is Siberian Power Show? Because I wonder, I guess Travis is still not healed up enough to go back this year. He competed there last year.
How soon is it, did you say?
Yeah, how soon is it?
It is 10 weeks out. So April 1st and 2nd, I believe. And yeah, Travis did. I was actually supposed to do it last year. April, I think it was more like mid-April. I can't really remember. But I had that and I had the log record. And it was, I had a work conflict, so I couldn't do both. But last year it was Travis, Wes. Anthony Deal. He's a 105 guy.
Right.
And made the jump up to the Open, and he did really well. He performed very well at the show. He's a great guy. But yeah, I wasn't able to make the show. I forget who took my place. This year it's myself, Wes, which is awesome. I've competed multiple times with Wes. He's great. He's pretty funny backstage. Just how calm he is the whole show. You got myself and Josh Silvis, America's Strongest.
Oh, Josh is going? Winner. That's awesome. Yeah, Josh has been on our show.
Bobby Thompson, he'll kind of be. I'm assuming he's kind of like leading the pack because he's the most veteran out of all of us. And then I have never met him. I believe his name is Josh or Jack Planker. I can't recall.
Okay.
I've never met him, but he's from North Dakota, and I have a couple friends in North Dakota that have met him or whatever. They say he's a giant ex-football player. So I'm assuming his medleys will be good. I don't really know much about him, but I'm excited for that show.
Nice. Yeah, Josh Silvis is actually doing a special guest seminar at South Carolina Strongest Man and Woman where I'm going to be doing color commentary. So I'm going to get to meet him. Looking forward to it, although I don't think I've ever met someone that big in person before. So it'll be very interesting.
Who's that, Josh Silvis?
Josh Silvis. Yeah, when he came on our show, he told us he was 490. Yeah,
he's like the size of two fridges just strapped together. And then when you walk by him, you're like, you feel like a little boy. Like, hey, how's it going? I think he's 6'6", 6'7", around there.
I think he said, what did he say? It was 6'4", 6'5", something like that.
I want to say 6'5". Yeah, because I think he was the same height as me.
Okay, yeah. But either way, when you're next to him, you're like a child.
Yeah, he has 200 pounds on me.
ASM, I had never met him. I didn't even really know anything about him. Doesn't really have a presence on Instagram or any social media platform. So he put on a show. I forget what we opened. The Fingles.
Fingles.
That was a little bit of a sketchy event. The floor was extremely slippery, so it wasn't a good judge of like, this guy's got some game. He's been in it, and he's really powerful. Then we got to the log, and it was like a 4-way tie. Myself, Wes, Crowder, that monster, and then Josh, which I didn't know anything about. Josh, I just assumed he'd be a good presser because it was a clean and press away, and he's as wide as a house, so you just have a really good base. And then we get to the deadlift, and we're in the mid 8s, which is where I bow out, and he hadn't even pulled his first attempt. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess this guy's a powerhouse. He pulled 900, I think, is his opener, and then maybe 925 is where he ended it. Him and Wesley Claiborne went back and forth for the max deadlift event. But yeah, I'm excited to compete with him, Bobby, those guys. It's going to be a good trip. There's nothing really better than Russia against US. Have a little bit of that Rocky IV mentality going on.
Yeah, I wonder if Janasha's going back this year because he competed there last year as well, right?
That I don't know. They really haven't mentioned anything as far as like other teams or other athletes going. I started following on Instagram. There's look at this guy saving lives over there.
Nice. Somebody's got to do it, right? What's up, John? You're muted.
There we go. Now
there you go. Yeah.
Hey, let me get my earbuds in here. Yeah, everybody's alive. Everybody made it, so we're all good.
Nice.
Yeah.
John, you know this patriotic guy over here?
I don't really have to worry too much about people dying at my work, so.
Well, I mean, you do road work, right? So like if pothole opens up or a sinkhole, people could die.
Yeah, there's been times where you guys, are you both from New Jersey, or I know John, you are?
Just me. Yeah.
Okay. So you're familiar with like Turnpike Parkway and
yes, sir.
how busy those roads are. Yeah, oftentimes we'll have cars like cross into the traffic, the cone line, take out a couple cones, and that gets a little hairy. That gets a little sketchy, but no, nothing too serious. Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah, I always have this argument with my wife when we go down the shore and we're driving back. She's, I want to take the turnpike, and she's like, the turnpike's like 2 or 3 times the price. And I said, yeah, but the lanes are wider. It's more comfortable.
Yeah. The parkways, there's really not a lot of room for error.
Yeah. So Jonathan, we were talking a bit about Giants Live, but I was really excited to watch a lot of the SCL shows you did this past year. Anything else coming up in 2022 there?
Yeah, I think January that's generally when World's Strongest Viking happens. They had some issues with having to lock down again, but Tyler and I both have an invite to that. So it's tentatively rescheduled for sometime in March. I haven't heard any updates on that yet, but hopefully it'll be occurring at a time when both of us can make it. But that would be what's next on the agenda.
Nice. How did you
That's
first
generally the...
No, I was going to say, how did you first get into SCL shows?
We actually did after in 2018 Nationals. I won the 275 class, and Tyler took a really close second. It was a big point spread because there was 30 something guys. So I think I had 108 points and Tyler had 107.5, or so it was like really close. So generally they send the winner of that class to the Finnish Open, which is a qualifier contest that SCL does in Finland every year. So Tyler and I both got to go to that, I guess because we were brothers and we were Finnish so close, And through that we met one of the competitors also hosts qualifier contests for SCL, a guy named Veli Pika. And he invited us to his show the following year, which was another qualifier. And that one, Tyler won, and I took fourth. And that one was interesting because it actually had Urban Toots took second to Tyler, and then Sami Ahola, who we've seen at the Magnuson Classic. So there was quite a lot of guys that got their start from that show. So it was pretty interesting. And it was only about a month after that, I think, that we got the call for Serbia, which was part of SCL's main stage. And then since then, that's kind of how we got into the swing of things with SCL. I've done more shows than Tyler, but he's done a couple with them also.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up the Magnuson Classic. What did you think of that show? That was one of my favorite shows of the year.
Oh man, if I had the opportunity to do a show in Iceland like that, that would be, it was incredible. The scenery, the backdrop, especially with that, I forget the name of that waterfall, but where they did the stone pressing, it was just unbelievable scenery.
Yeah, it's funny because I looked it up ahead of time to see what the different venues would look like, and it looks different on Google because when they were there, it was like the waterfall was frozen. It was just crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been there once. My wife was working a flight that had a layover there. It was a 24-hour layover, so I went to Thor's gym and got to meet Thor and everything. That was when he was still in his old gym before he had the new updated one. But I've never been able to compete there. That would be like opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. For me, it was just more like naturally what Strongman is, not pick up a bar, but pick up what's around you. It was just so cool.
Yeah. Oh, I love events like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Tyler, you ever do any contests like that where it's outdoor in the elements?
No, not really. The kind of what John just mentioned, though, like how you're saying, more like a strongman vibe of just being outside and using implements like natural stones and things like that. That World's Strongest Viking show John did, well, I guess 2 years ago because of last year was kind of shut down, whatever. But I'm pretty sure that's entirely outside in the snow in Norway in the dead of winter. That's up there with what I would consider like some of the coolest shows around. All of the events outside. They have a crazy Hercules hold setup, a Viking press setup, a boat. What is it, John? What was it? A Viking ship, kind of like a truck pulls simulator kind of thing.
Yeah, they have it on skis, and you pull it. You put tracks on your boots so you could get a grip, and you pull this ship that's on skis. So it's wild.
So I
was actually supposed to go to that one in 2020, but wasn't that when you had your gallbladder out? I think.
Yeah, but I can't. No,
I think the surgeon kind of recommended against you doing any, right?
Yeah. It was. I had a case of pancreatitis caused from my gallbladder, and I tried to fight it off. I kind of my girlfriend at the time, now wife. She was saying, what are you doing? You're drenched in sweat. You're in pain. You could barely get off the couch, and I was popping Tylenol and Advil and whatever I could to try it. And I had my bags packed and everything. It was, I think, the day before. I was like, no, I'll just go do this show real quick, and then I'll come home and go to the hospital and figure out whatever is going on. That did not pan out well. I ended up having to check myself into the ER and spent a couple of days there. Just I've had issues with the gallbladder in the past, and then eventually had it removed, and now I'm been in good shape for quite some time now. But it was unfortunate because that's up there on one of my shows I would love to get the opportunity. Hopefully this is the year that we both get to do it. It's an awesome setting.
Yeah, I can imagine. That is awesome. The other thing, Tyler, I was wondering, you brought up Marcus Crowder before, and I just have the connection. Isaac and I first kind of talked to him after Mammoth Strength Challenge last year. Did you ever get approached to do that show by David Waters, and would you ever do that one?
I did. But actually both years, this year and last year. I think it was last year, maybe it was 2 years ago. I can't remember, but I can't remember. I had plans to do it, and then that was one of the ones where it was so early in the year, I had to back out. And then, that was Bobby, Wes, all of those guys had gone to the Mammoth, the first one I guess he had. And then this year, with the, I'm trying to be a little more selective. I'm trying to do only shows that are going to progress my career. The biggest, obviously, being Giants Live. That's number one priority. And then secondary, like Siberian Power Show, that was connection through Dion, Shaman Corp. Mm-hmm. So that's a big one. That's going to be a great way to start off the year. But mostly, Mammoth has some, it'd be a good winnings and things like that. But I'm trying to focus on things that are going to progress my career and get me ultimately to World's Strongest Man. That's my goal here.
Yeah. Yeah, it totally makes sense. They actually just had Mammoth this past weekend. It was a great show, like always, right? Like Isaac, I don't know if you caught any of it, but the bag over bar toss. Remember Matt McDougall from last year? He did some crazy things again this year. It's like I was saying, this guy needs a special license for throwing bags into space.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of the snapshots and everything on Instagram afterwards, but I wasn't able to actually watch the show live or anything like that.
Yeah,
it looked good.
Yeah, it was cool. They had a wheelbarrow set up that doubled as a Viking press. So basically, there was a Viking attachment on the other side, and they used it for both events, which is pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, Mammoth is always cool because it's also streamed by one of my favorite live streamers, Garage Gym Life Media, who Segway is the sponsor for this wonderful live stream we're doing right now. So we do want to thank our sponsors, Garage Gym Life Media, for putting on all those great shows and all their awesome content on their channel. If you haven't subscribed to them yet, anybody watching, you should. Their membership is super, super affordable. It's only 99 cents a month, and you get access to all of their exclusive content. So why don't I let John Gredius III from Garage Gym Life Media tell you a little more about it? Technical difficulties. Let me try to bring it back in one more time. Sorry. Now I hear you, dog. That's awesome.
Yeah, he doesn't really bark.
You enjoy Strongman. You can go on ESPN and you can watch cornhole and poker. There are even apps that let you watch cheerleading, marching band, racing, rugby, singing, but there's nothing that lets you watch Strongman, powerlifting, and Highland Games anytime you want until now. At Garage Gym Life Media, we are building a strength sports media channel, and we want you to be a part of it. For just 99 cents a month, you get access to all of our Strongman live streams, as well as all of our coverage of powerlifting, Highland Games, and group competition. That $12 a year gives us funding to cover more events and discover the next generation of champions as they begin their careers. Become a member of the Garage Gym Life Media YouTube channel today and help us change the way that the strength sports you love are covered.
And again, we want to thank our sponsors over at Garage Gym Life Media. You too can become a member of the Garage Gym Life Media channel to get access to all their live streams, which includes Highland Games, Strongman, and then some powerlifting as well. And you can do that by clicking the link in the description for this video below. I'm a member there, and I really do encourage you to go over there after we're done here and check out that membership. It's very, very valuable. So thanks again to the guys over there. So what were we talking about? We're talking about Tyler's dog.
Yeah, my wife was just texting me. She's like, should I let him out or let him down there? I was like, please do not let him down here. You won't be able to hear anything.
It's a big dog. Big dog for a big guy.
Yeah, he's cool. He's all right.
And Tyler, I don't know how much you want to talk about it on the air, but congratulations are in order for you and your wife as well.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a trip. We're coming up on 3 weeks now, and I was kind of in panic mode leading up to it, like, oh, I'm going to be a father now and I have to be responsible, and but it's been actually a lot of fun falling into that role, and I mean not a whole lot of sleep going on, but
I was going to say, you don't look too tired. You look good.
No, I got a lot of sleep today. Wife kind of took the baby for a little bit and let me
the reins.
I don't really sleep much anyway. Like working nights and stuff. I have kind of a screwed up schedule. So, although it still has been hard, it's not an easy thing to do to have a child. But
no,
it's not too different. I mean,
yeah, Isaac and I both have two, so we know. John, how many kids do you
have? Just the one for now.
Okay.
For now.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I remember I heard an interview one time where Kate Hudson was being interviewed, and she has 3. And so they said, how is that like? And she said, 2 was okay, but 3 might as well be 500. They're surrounding you all the time.
Yeah, I've heard that. Once they outnumber you, it's a different ballgame.
Yeah, but no, you're good for now, Tyler. Then when she grows up a little bit, mine is 5. So right before I jumped on here, I had to go replace batteries in the Starbelly Dreamlight so she could go to sleep. And you have that to look forward to.
Yeah, it seems like for the first 2 weeks, mostly she was just sleeping, and it's like it took 2 weeks for her to wake up. And now, last night she barely slept, and then I figured, well, she'll sleep during the day today, and no, she didn't. So we're figuring it out as we go.
Yeah, you get there. Yeah, it's definitely sleep-wise, it's tough at the beginning, but very rewarding for sure.
Well, I was going to say mine are 3 and 1, and there's still some nights where they just don't sleep. So, it gets
I have that to look forward to.
yeah, it gets better, but there's still some nights where I don't know. Oh well.
I tried to tire mine out. I took him out to the garage and had him do some circus dumbbell. They're still full of energy.
You never go back to that freedom you had before, when you could take a nap whenever you wanted and sleep in if you wanted. And that's gone for good.
Although it was entertaining because I had a kettlebell in a box. My 1-year-old was pushing this box around the house and put a 35-pound kettlebell in it, and he's just sitting there pushing it around the house. I was like, this is fantastic. Like, keep it up. You'll get somewhere someday. Maybe not yet.
I'm trying to follow John's lead. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you have on his Instagram, if you get to see his little guy, Alan, like almost as if he understands the events. He'll pick up a medicine ball and sprint it to the other end. It's really funny. So hopefully I can tire mine out the same way. I don't know if if Alan ever gets tired, but it's worth a shot.
Yeah. It's funny though. I mean, they pick up everything. So, the good and the bad, but I think from watching me do stuff and he just wants to copy it. So it's really fun.
Yeah, that is funny. But John, I meant to ask you, I don't know if we asked you this last time, but what was your favorite event from all the SCL shows? Because I have one.
Favorite event from last season?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I always obviously like the events I do well in. So probably the event I did best in was the bag throw series that I did with Travis. Unfortunately, the Portugal competition, I didn't have it. I was injured, so it wasn't really a great performance. But probably close second to that would be that natural stone loading that we did for the finals in Turkey. The promoter told me he wanted to make it because the guys that run SCL used to be involved with World's Strongest Man in the 90s, and then with IFSA when they had their split, and then they also both were referees for Fortissimus. I don't know if you've ever seen that on YouTube. The Fortissimus, I think it only ran for 2 years, but it was one of the coolest competitions I've ever seen. They had all the top names there, and it was a 2-day competition with like 6 or 7 events. I mean, it was brutal. But they had this one event with the natural stone loading, and they had a 4th or 5th stone that they didn't really anticipate anyone was going to get. It was they called it the Louis Cyr stone, and it was like this dramatic finish where Derek Poundstone somehow got it up on the platform, and even Big Z didn't attempt it because he thought he had a fast time for the previous stones. He thought he had it in the bag, and Poundstone got the stone up. So anyway, in Turkey, they told us they were trying to emulate that event a little bit with its natural stones. And I just love, like you were talking about earlier, I love anything where it's not like calibrated weights on a barbell, where it's, a weird event that no one can really train for. So then it really showcases like who's actually the strongest, So I would say probably that would probably be up there as far as favorite events. What was your pick?
I liked. I'm trying to remember if you did it with Travis or not, but the tandem truck pull where you're both pulling staggered.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot, and I'll go so far as to tell you what Isaac's favorite was and see if I get it right. Isaac liked the best the polished padlock front hold.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was, Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I just loved it because aesthetically, like it just looks crazy, and you don't see like we've all seen hammers and everything else being held out in front, but these like massive padlocks, I was like, all right, that's cool. That looks pretty cool.
Well, and that's a huge part about Strongman is the appearance of it, right? It was always just stemmed from being a TV show. So events like keg toss, or even though personally, I think John agrees, front hold is just, it's maybe not an event I hate more than front hold. It's so brutal, and it feels never ending. I would rather do any other event, but I get the idea of like the visual appearance of it. That's what makes Strongman so cool. That's what makes people that maybe don't even train or lift weights. A car is a car. So if you're picking it up and walking with it, it's impressive. So I get that for sure.
Tyler did one actually, speaking of front hold, in Finland that was in a mine. I didn't do that competition, was it? But so didn't you guys go like a mile underground to do the front hold event or something?
Yeah, they
crazy like that.
So I forget which one that was, which area of Finland that was. They had a couple of record breaker things. There was a log for reps. I forget what weight, maybe 365 or 385 for however many reps was the record that they held, and they were saying, oh, you can go for that. But it was a full show as well. So I show up in Finland. I forget. I think it was just a one-day show. And they said, okay, we're going to go to the competition site now. And it was like an hour drive. We're all loaded up in this bus. We show up, we're going around. It was at a massive, like mine quarry, rock production type facility. And all of a sudden they're like, okay, put a hard hat on and get this vest on. And we're like, oh, cool. We're going to do some like promo stuff, like SCL, obviously, because it's a TV show. They always have you doing, extracurricular type stuff. And then all of a sudden we're in an elevator going a mile underground. And I didn't realize that we were going down there to do an event. So I didn't really understand what was going on. That I thought we were just doing some filming, like whatever for the show. And it turned out we were standing like in a front end loader bucket with a implement, like a front hold implement. And it was cool. I don't know how much of an effect that had on me as far as like breathing, or I don't know. I don't know if it did or not. I didn't do well at it. So I'll take any excuse I can. It was because I was a mile underground. It's probably why I didn't do well.
Probably psychologically it would play with you as well too, just because I feel like when you're going up to do an event, like seeing the implements and everything and just like getting into that mindset plays into it. But if you're sitting on an elevator for a long time and like, I don't know, like that, I feel like that could pretty easily get into your head as well.
To a certain degree, it did. I mean, I was luckily I don't have any claustrophobia issues because, I mean, it's a pretty tight space. The front end loader was one of those compact, like low to the ground ones. It was cold, dark, but for a TV show, pretty cool, like setup for it. So.
That's crazy. I've never gone that far underground to do an event. Now, I did go hiking a few times, and I found a log that I thought would make a good lifting log, and I've taken about 3-4 hikes. I've been trying to, little by little, get it out of the forest, but I didn't go a mile underground for that one.
Well, little by little, you're getting it back to the home destination.
Yeah, little by little, I'm going to get it to the edge of the woods, and when no one's looking, pop it in the trunk. I don't know what the laws are around taking a log from a nature center. So
I don't know. You're probably okay.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't Travis Ortmeyer saying that his first log that he got was a telephone pole that he saw that fell over on the side of the road? So he went and cut a chunk out of it and threw it in the back of his car and took it home. Like,
Yeah,
that sounds like a Travis Ortmeyer thing to do.
I was like, whatever works. If there's a
Yeah.
log in the forest that'll work for log press, take it.
it's funny. He was my roommate again for the finals. So we got last year. Him and I got to spend a lot of time together. And yeah, I heard some of those stories from. I mean, he just back then. Even I guess it was 10, 15 years ago, but there was not like, you know, in the Denver area now we have probably 4 or 5 really well stocked strongman gyms where you could go. There's a good crew there. And back then when Travis started, there was none of that. It was like whatever you could weld yourself or find in the woods or, you know, so it's pretty cool hearing those stories.
I know I found, speaking of finding things in the woods, probably about 2 years ago, right when I was just getting into being interested in competing, and my wife and I were going on a hike, and there's just this gorgeous rock sitting next to the trail. I don't know, it was maybe like 500 yards from the parking lot or so. So it was one of those things where I was like, all right, I can probably like roll/carry it the rest of the way back to the parking lot and everything. And so I ended up doing that and threw it in the trunk and dropped off at my buddy's house. And we weighed it later, and I think it was like a 245 pound stone, something like that. And I was like, all right, I'm pretty proud of like carrying it/rolling it the rest of the way and getting it into the car. Like, that was a good workout.
We had a Atlas stone that was right around that weight. The first Atlas stone we ever bought was, I don't know, I think this is probably 2014 or something. And Tyler and I had not even done any strongman training, but this guy on Craigslist was selling them. So I brought him to my parents' house because they have a barn there. So I thought we could store him in the barn. And I remember him and I were using it in the yard. And at the time, 245 with no tacky was kind of difficult because we didn't know any technique. So we dropped it. I don't know how many times, and my mom would come out and quit leaving all those divots in the yard. You know, it's funny.
Half moon craters in the ground. Like, what are you causing these craters in the ground? I don't know. I think there's like moles or something all over the yard. I don't know what's going on.
Asteroids, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say.
That's a good story. Do you guys like? How many years apart are you?
7, I think. Right?
7
You're
years.
30 now. Yeah, and I'm 37. Yeah, so 7 years.
Growing up, did you ever do like weird lifting stuff at home?
Well, my dad would always work out in the barn, so we had access to like his rusty weights and stuff. So he taught us a little bit with that. But I remember one thing we would always do. My parents heated the house with a coal stove during the winter because the coal was a lot cheaper than paying for oil and gas heating. And we had this kind of aluminum trash bucket that they would empty the ashes in. And I remember we would have contests. My parents it was one of our chores that one of us was supposed to do. Like, you got to take the ash can and dump it out in the woods to make sure it doesn't kill the grass or anything. So we would let this thing get so full, it was like you couldn't even fit the cap on it, and then pick it up Husafell style and try to carry it through the snow and see who could, So that's one thing I remember. And when I first started training with a Husafell stone, I was like, this is like the ash can. It's like, this thing.
That's funny.
There was a lot of wrestling too. We all were in wrestling, and our middle brother Casey. The three of us, for a while, we were putting an addition on our house, and we eventually had more rooms. But for a while there, the three of us brothers were sharing a room. So we had a bunk bed, and then so my brother was on the top, I was on the bottom bunk, and Tyler was in a trundle bed that you would pull out from underneath the bottom bunk. And the room had to be what do you think it was, 200 square feet? I mean, it was not enough room for
Yeah, very
three
small.
boys. So yeah, we would have some epic battles in there. I remember one time a lamp got broke by a lacrosse stick, and just it was always chaos.
Oh, that's funny. I wrestled
Yeah.
also, but I wasn't good.
Yeah, it's a fun sport. I think it's a really good background for strength sports because it teaches you that mental toughness. I mean, I don't know many other sports out there that are mentally tougher than wrestling. You know, I mean, it's like you're using your whole body, you're ready to die, and they're like, okay, now we're going to do spinning drills, and then forget about even being in the match. You know, it's one of the best backgrounds I think you can have for just for sports in general.
Oh, you're talking about practice, like working out? Yeah, wrestling workouts were brutal.
Yeah, and suicide sprints and all that stuff. I mean, other sports do that too, but it was definitely mental toughness. For sure, it builds that.
Yeah, it's like you do the whole wrestling practice, and it's like, all right, we're going out to the track now. I'm like, wait, we're not done?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. I wanted to show you guys this one. Let me know if you can see this. So this is what happens. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
This is what happens when you have to rip the frozen stone off the ground before you can try to press it. You use up all your energy, and then you can't press it anymore. You'll see all the dirt hanging off of it. There we go. So you guys have any pro tips? You have any pro tips for getting a frozen stone off the ground?
Yeah, I mean, tacky's not going to help you there. That's pretty much that's just a brute, kind of manhandling it, I think, is the only way you can do it. That's pretty good though.
Thank you.
As long as it looks like you got a face full of dirt, but hey, that's
Yeah, usually I can press that one. Like I leave that stone at a certain place in the forest that I know it's the same one, so usually I can press that one.
Yeah.
But it's like when it's so cold outside, your arms hurt too. It's a different that's why I respect the guys at the Magnus Classic so much, because it's a totally different situation from lifting under ideal circumstances.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, the only experience I have something like that, like Tyler was saying, that World's Strongest Viking 2 years ago, they had a propane heater in the athlete tent, so that was kind of warm. But other than that, you were just outside all day, and it was And the first event was at night. They did the deadlift event at night. Even more, I don't know what the temperature was in Fahrenheit, but it was very cold for sure. And it does change. It even changes the way you worry about staying warmed up long enough, because you already have limited time to warm up in a contest, and then knowing that you're going to get cold so fast, you're like, ugh, hope I don't pull anything, Oh, are you on? Yeah, I can't.
Sorry. You hear me now?
There you go.
Yeah, I was saying, you guys are in different parts of the country right now, but where was your home when you were children?
New Jersey.
Oh, it was? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
So we grew up in Kinnelon, which isn't...
Property is maybe 15 minutes from where I live now. I'm like 2 towns over from my parents' place.
Nice. All right, so John can be part of the club then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always fun when I come back. I go down to Johnny Wazico's gym where Tyler trains, and we get some training in together. It's always fun.
Oh, is that where you train? I didn't know you were where Johnny was. That's cool.
Yeah, man, I'm not even sure. Oh, my neighbor used to own a gym and had connections with Johnny and introduced me to Johnny, but I don't even know, man, maybe 3 years ago now. I'm not sure really how long.
It's been a while.
It's not far. It's like maybe 40-minute drive. It's worth it. I go there, once a weekend, twice a weekend, something like that. But I remember the first time I went there, I don't know if you've communicated with Johnny very much, but he is pretty straightforward dude. He'll tell you how it is. So I went there and I wanted to impress him. And I knew, I'm really good at log. Not really good, but I could move some weight. This is kind of in the earlier days before 400 and all that. So I set up the log and, I meet him, whatever. And I put, I think, like 350, 360 on there because I'm trying to impress him. I want to get invited back to his gym. It's an awesome setup. And so then he said, "Oh, cool. You're pretty strong. Whatever. What are you doing next weekend?" And then from there, I started coming back. The next weekend, I show up and he's like, "Hey, I know. I was thinking about it. Like, you're really strong, but you actually really suck." And I was like, "Oh, thanks. I don't know." It was like a half-ended, open-ended compliment, maybe. I don't know if he was, but ever since then, he's been a huge. I mean, the guy's been in Strongman for 20-something years. He done maybe 200 plus shows, so he has been a massive. Like, to have him in my corner has been a huge advantage. He's got like 3 or 4 of every implement you could ever want. He's got knowledge like crazy, and it's been awesome to do. Like OSG, he competed.
Yep.
ASM, he competed. So we've gotten to do a lot of shows, him, myself, and there's a bunch of pros actually.
Yeah, doesn't he? He mentors Frank Provenzano too, right?
Yeah, Frankie Pro. Yeah, he just became a pro, fairly recent. And he was at ASM. He's done OSG in the past. He's a top-notch deadlifter.
For sure. Yeah, he's a monster.
Where his like bread and butter or whatever. And then you have 3 or 4 different females. Melissa Edwards. She was maybe one of the first pros that I met at Johnny's gym. She's since then moved to Tennessee, I believe. Then you have Cassie. That's Frank Provenzano's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And Joelle. She's another pro. So there's like six or so pros at any given weekend at Johnny's gym. It's a pretty serious, it's pretty legit spot to train. It's been super helpful in progressing my career here.
Joelle Pesci?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know she was from Jersey. Man, you learn something new every day.
You might know her on Instagram.
What's that?
Barbell Joelle, that's her.
No, I know. I followed her. I know who she is. I didn't know she was in Jersey though. That's awesome.
Well, she's actually from New York City, but she takes the train or whatever into and more recently she hasn't been making it as much. It's just kind of it's probably pretty difficult to do, but whenever she's getting ready for a show, she would be stopping in or whatever. It's like the little the weekend crew kind of. So
yeah, that's awesome. So maybe you learned it from Johnny how to be so kind and inviting to us fans, because he told me the same thing. Come by and train anytime, just like you told me. So
oh yeah, he's very
bunch of good guys.
True, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It'd be fun if you came by one time when I was in town visiting.
Hell yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah, we'll have to keep you in the loop about that. Yeah,
make it a big party. We'll have when Anthony San Lorenzo's back in town too. We'll just make a big party. He's from around here too.
Yeah, I see him pretty often out here in Colorado.
Yeah, I can imagine. He's quite a circus dumbbell presser.
Yeah, that's his goal this year. He wants to go for the 105 world record, which I believe is I think it's 125 kilos, so like 275 pounds, which to press that at 231, I mean, that'd be insane, but he's been making a lot of progress. So I have no doubt he'll be able to do it. He tends to put his money where his mouth is. So yeah, it'd be cool to see that happen.
Yeah, he's unbelievable with that event. At Clash on the Coast, they had an overhead medley, and I forgot, was it a block press before that where they didn't give him a rep, and then he told me he disputed it afterward, and they gave him the rep, but it kept him from getting to his best part of the medley, which was the dumbbell press. So
yeah. But he performed really well at that show. That show was one of the most fun to watch. I went there because Tyler was doing the log press attempt, and so I didn't get to see every day of it, but I saw quite a bit of it. And it was like set up like the old school World's Strongest Man's, some events in the sand and all that. And I just thought it was visually a really cool, from a spectator experience, it was a really cool show.
Yeah, we talked to some of the athletes that competed there, and they had differing opinions on the sand. Some thought like it was really cool, and some thought it was energy sap, and it was interesting to get the different perspectives.
Obviously, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's gonna suck way more to do any event and sit. John, you just did a
Husafell in the sand.
When he was telling me the event list, John saying, "Oh, I had this one coming up for this show is a 400 Husafell max distance in sand." I was like, when you're running a Husafell, you already feel like you're walking in sand. That's gonna be brutal. Yeah, that had to suck. I don't know, but visually, it's pretty cool to be on a beach launching kegs or doing a medley in the sand. People are gonna like to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see fire hydrants too often, so that was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Isaac, what do you got for us? I'm doing all the talking.
Oh, that's fine. I'm also just listening to my kids babbling in the other room at the same time, so, hoping that they're staying quiet enough so they don't come through too much.
I'm pretty sure your kids also hate doing Husafel in the sand.
I don't know. I think if you asked them to, they'd probably love it. So I don't know. Anytime we take them to a beach, they're always pulling up rocks and logs and stuff all over the place. Especially the 3-year-old. But
I was wondering, you guys, did you watch World's Strongest Man growing up?
Oh yeah.
Who did you like watching the most? Who were you the biggest fans of?
I mean, for me personally, it's kind of the style that I've like emulated and followed out, but I am also just kind of wired that way. Kazmaier, for sure. Like just the psychotic hitting himself in the forehead before he's doing a sumo event that he was injured for. Him and like 100% Derek Poundstone. Just had a lot of the same strengths, weaknesses, whatever. We got to catch up with him at what, 20
Arnold, I think
19 Arnold. Yeah. And he's a talker. So I kind of was just thinking, oh, it'd be great to say hello. He's, kind of my, like a role model in strongman, whatever. And we ended up talking for maybe 45 minutes. He's an awesome guy. And obviously stock full of info about strongman. But those two for sure, especially they had the look. I'm not a 6'6", 400-pounder guy. I'm just not built that way. So Derek and both Kaz, they kind of had the look that I wanted too.
Yeah, Kaz was super intimidating. That's kind of when I tell people who don't follow strongman about, the biggest rivalries and whatnot, I say, if you're from Iceland, you say John Paul was the best. If you're from the U.S., you say Kaz was the best.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. I still think Big Z was the best of all time, but that's me.
Well, but yeah. I mean, I think everyone could probably agree with that. I mean, just the excitement level of watching Kaz or Poundstone, whatever that, I don't know what show that was. I think it was in his hometown in Connecticut. He cleans that 415-pound axle, holding it over his head, yelling at the crowd, "You like that?" And he's spinning with it like this, showing it off. I mean, just that's what I really like in strongman is the showmen, the guys that show out like that just go lose their minds and put on a performance. Big Z's kind of like I just got to see him at OSG. He's like a tugboat. Everywhere he walks, it's the same exact pace. And he's just kind of floating around, Then he goes out and just hits the event, murders it, and just kind of slowly just makes his way back to his seat and just sits there, chills out. But he's just a massive human. And definitely, I don't know, maybe one of the most well-rounded and most accomplished strongmen ever, probably, I would say.
But speaking about that showmanship, you move fast forward to now, and you got Nick Hamby doing that kind of stuff and really exciting the crowd.
Yeah. At the Clash on the Coast, same thing. Pops the axle up, and he's holding up there, screaming at the crowd. That's what I think attracts fans is seeing insane stuff like that, but not only insane lifting, but putting on a show while doing it. You can't just do something and then walk off. If you're trying to make it to top level, that they want some type of character behind it,
It's true.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, currently I think my favorite strongman to watch is Nick, just because for one, he's probably one of the strongest dudes pound for pound, maybe not ever, but definitely currently. But also he's fun to watch. And I think that's also why Eddie Hall got so much fame, was just because he's a firebrand. He put on a show. He liked to play more of the villain or whatever. Oberst is kind of the same way, likes to play the bad guy, I guess. But I think that's partly what strongman's all about, is like this theatrical act, basically.
Yeah, it leaves rooms for good guys like Big Loz.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you, Isaac. I always tell people when I'm describing strongman, I say it's a sport for sure, but it's not pure sport. It's like a mix of sport and entertainment. So there's always some element of entertainment in there, whether it's the crazy looking implements or whatever. So, and that's what I like about it so much is I love the competition aspect, but I also love that that kind of putting on a show aspect to it.
What's the craziest implement you've come across, both of you?
I don't know. What did you say, Tyler?
What was
I think for me,
craziest what?
The craziest implement you've had to compete with.
I didn't hear it still.
What was the craziest implement you've had to compete with?
Oh, I don't know. That's a.
I think for me it's probably something.
Honestly, it was probably at one of the. I don't know. See some pretty crazy stuff in the lower level shows because they're just kind of whipping it together. So there's not, you'll see some stuff that's kind of like, I don't know about this. I don't know if they tested this out or not.
I think for me, I would say it would have to be something from that show I did with Travis in Finland, because every implement there was like unique. I'd never seen it. So whether it was the paving tamper that we used for
yeah, that was
Zercher carry, or I guess you would call it I don't know what you would call that event, but that was pretty crazy and something I had never seen anything like that before. And you could tell like all the teams were kind of staggering back and forth and everything. And,
I remember that one. That's the one where the bar wasn't fixed so you can get ahead of each other.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that was nuts.
So it was hanging, it was a bar, and then it was hanging, this paving tamper was hanging by a chain off the bar, so it could swing this way and this way. So you're trying to walk with it, and as you're walking, your step and the person's step next to you is kind of, it's just, but I like stuff like that because I like when you have to figure it out on the fly. I think that should be a part of strongman. It shouldn't always be, axle deadlift and axle overhead press. And, like that stuff has its place, but I like when you do an event where you have trained and gotten as strong as you can. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Yeah, you can see, and then we got out of sync there. Well, I lost consciousness briefly there for a little bit. I had been sitting on my solar plexus too much, but yeah, but that was definitely something I had never trained for before or even seen before. So I would say that's up there as far as craziest events.
It almost looks like you're training to carry your drunk buddy out of the bar at the end of the day. Like everyone's going every which way, and it's
kind of how it felt.
Yeah, I know. If your drunk buddy was 800 pounds, so I guess it's a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, and this one too. Yeah, this was crazy too. I mean, I've done wheelbarrow events before, but not like this with whatever that engine block, I think it was, or something. No, actually, somebody told me at the contest, I think that was actually something that they feed trees into that chips them up or something. So yeah, whatever it was heavy.
Yeah, here's
but,
the here's the pulling thing.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I like that after we did this event, Travis made a Instagram reel, and he had that song, She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy, the background song. Like, that's a perfect song for this. And this was weird too because we had that pulley system. So he was going like double the speed. And so, yeah, you could really pick any event from this contest, and that would be up there as far as weirdest events.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that, how it kind of got into your head a little bit where it's like you're barely moving and Travis is just flying off away from you. And like, because I remember you mentioning that like you have to make sure that doesn't let you stop performing or something like that either, and just keep plugging and know that like you'll get to the finish line sooner or later.
Yeah, and having the confidence that the thing is actually moving, because it's like, okay, well, I see him moving, but I know I'm attached to it directly, and it feels like I'm not going anywhere. So is this thing even like, when is the whistle going to blow? But yeah, mentally that was a little bit of a challenge.
That was a big vehicle.
Yeah.
This looks like this is a really tough event here.
Yeah. So this was part of what Tyler was talking about. SCL always packages their contests for TV, so they shoot little footage of us outside of the competition enjoying something local in the country to try and showcase these local places that host them. And so they brought us here, and 2 or 3 of the guys, like this one guy, Sean O'Hagan, he's Irish, and I think he's like 7'1", and he's lost a little bit of weight now, but he used to compete around 200 kilos. Just a massive guy, you know, he always wins the truck puller type of thing.
He's huge.
But him and a couple of other guys were swinging these golf clubs, and they actually broke the clubs hitting the ground too hard, you know, because none of us are golfers, obviously. And I was like, you know, if anybody who actually golfs gets a hold of this footage, they're going to be like, what are these guys doing? Because our swings are like, you know, like these bound up, you know, they're like, you're supposed to, you know, swing and then follow through. And we're all like, when do we get to lift something? But yeah, just trying to crush the ball. A couple guys. Yeah, there he is. Big Sean. If you can understand him, he's got a real thick Irish accent, but super nice guy though. He holds a lot of grip records too. He does a lot of grip competition. His hands are like, you know, this much bigger than mine. So yeah, there is a Johan Espenkrona. He's another good competitor from Sweden.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's fun meeting all these guys from. That's one thing I like about SCL is they have a lot of international guys, and it's fun to talk to them about like what are things like in your country, and you know, just finding out how they train and all that. It's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And then if you look in the comments, you have cream of the crop on the ladies' side, Olga.
Yeah. I forget is she Ukrainian? I forget where she's from.
Yeah, she's Ukrainian. She was at OSG.
Okay. Right, that's right.
Yeah, but, I'm trying to figure out the time zones to do one of these live streams and get her and Alexei Novikov on at the same time. But I think the time difference might be too much.
Yeah.
So another quick question, kind of before we start wrapping up, that I had is for both of you, who's been your favorite person to compete with?
Probably the guy on the screen next to me. That's kind of been the coolest. One of the more common questions we get is, or not even a question, just kind of a statement. Oh, sibling rivalry or whatever. That, you know, the brother to brother type, and it's okay, maybe to a certain degree, but it's never really felt that way. It's kind of been like the highlight of my strongman career so far is that we get to do it together. I mean, we just started this on a whim. We were both into powerlifting with USPA, and then John dipped into strongman, and he was like, "You have to try this. It is like, it is 10 times more fun than just squat, bench, dead." And so then I jumped on board. I don't know, maybe a year after he did. When I lived in North Dakota for a bit, and then this couple that owns a strongman gym out there pushed me as well, John, and between them, I did my first show, and then shortly after, I guess the next year, John, you came out for that show, North Dakota Strongest Man, as well. And ever since then, like, those are some of the coolest, even though like I've done some, like I got my pro card now on America's Strongest Man, and that's been really cool. All the SCL shows that John has done, but the coolest shows is when we get to do shows together. That's why I was also looking forward to World's Strongest Viking, because it's been I don't know how long since we've got to compete like alongside each other, but it's really not
almost 3 years now.
Yeah, it's not any type of rivalry. It's more or less like it's him and I against everybody else. It's if he wins or if I win, well, that's still our family name up there on the podium. So that's a win right there. And I think after all this is said and done, you can't, strongman doesn't last forever. That will probably be one of the things I look back on and appreciate the most, is that, it started in our family barn. When I was 5 years old, watching my dad rep out 405 in 20-degree weather and acting like a savage. And then over the years, little by little, getting to do it with John, I think looking back, that'll be the coolest part of it.
That's an incredible story. Yeah, I'm an only child, so I appreciate these stories that I can't live through myself. So great story.
Yeah.
That's awesome. John, do you agree?
Yeah, I would say there's a few names that I, have. Travis would be one of the examples. It's really cool because he's a guy that Tyler and I both watched. I think he started in 2008 or 09, maybe even before that. So we weren't even into string sports at that time yet. Even though I'm not that much, Travis is not that much older than me, but he's just been in the sport for so long. So competing with him was really cool. And then some of these guys that we like, the first Strongman games we did, the top 10 was like everybody that you see now in. It was like Evan Singleton, Bobby Thompson, West was there, Andrew Clayton, like all these big names now that you see. So it's been cool, like over the years, even if we haven't been at the level of these guys to compete in the same, and then see them doing their own big things. Jacob Fincher is another one that we both competed against numerous times. He's really cool. But yeah, by far the coolest I would say is competing with Tyler. Especially the best memory I have is that year that the year that I won nationals that he took, and the reason I keep bringing that up is it's the only contest I've beaten Tyler at. So, but
just
but
for
no,
the record, he did. Yeah, he beat me in that show. Just in case anyone hasn't heard it, the first 2-3 times he mentioned it.
Yeah. But I remember when he got called, I didn't know where the points were. It was kind of a chaotic day, and I wasn't able to keep track. And I thought maybe I had done well enough to be on the podium. That was my goal. And they called third place, and I thought, okay, well, maybe, because I thought Tyler had won it. He had one bad event. The truck pull went really bad for him, and I think I won it. So that created a huge, when you have 30 guys competing, an event like that, you could really switch positions quite a bit. But Tyler had, crushed every other event. So I thought, well, I don't know, maybe I'll still get second. Then they called him up for second. I thought, well, maybe it's just not my year. And then they called my name to come up for first. And I didn't get up at first because I was like, they probably read it wrong or something, or maybe they need to recalculate the scores. And my wife was sitting there. She's like, no, you go up there. They're waiting for you to go up there. And just standing up there with him and having, it was that year nationals had been in New York. So our buddies from North Dakota, Mitch and Lacey, came down and stayed with my parents, and I stayed with my parents, and my parents came to watch it. So it was cool. It was like local enough that the whole family was there. So to be up there with him and have our families there and stuff, and oh man, that's an indescribable feeling. It was so cool. Just the accomplishment of doing well at a show like that, plus having your brother right there with you doing just as good. And then finding out, I think it was a week or two later, we found out that we're both going to Finland. I mean, that was just incredible.
That's what I was going to add to that, is that's really what that being such a monumental moment directly after it, that's when it kind of like took off at first for us.
Yeah.
SCL. And then it was for a little bit there, it was like back to back. They're like, can you do this show? Can you do this show? And we just never said no. Of course. Yeah. We'll get on a plane right now. And now John more so has been able to continue doing that. I wanted to like try to win my pro card and try to, let's see what I can do at like America's Strongest Man and stuff. But I do miss kind of that SCL circuit is just so cool. They do some awesome stuff over there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think in addition to Travis, Ivar Smockstell has kind of brought some attention to SCL.
Oh yeah.
More people looking at it.
That's another one that we've competed with, that he is just a freak.
Yeah. And then smokes a cigarette after every event.
Yeah. The first
I remember I asked
show we went to, they have the competitors tent, and we're sitting back. We're nervous, of course. It's our first, like, we're in a country we've never been to. We just traveled 30 hours, but we're of course very excited as well. And after every event, John's like, he keeps leaning over to me. He goes, "What is that smell? I keep smelling cigarettes. Are you smelling cigarettes?" And I'm sitting there, we're in the competitors tent, so they really shouldn't be. It's not like it's just athletes. And then I look over, and Ivar's is smoking, and so later in the day we go over and we're like, "Hey, what do you why do you smoke after every event?" And he's like, "Oh, it's good for me. It helps me calm down, whatever." He'd smoke a cigarette, hit the inhaler, and then like go smoke all of us, like without even trying. He would just win the event.
You're like, oh, okay, his
cigarette.
His lungs must be bad. And then he wins the moving event. It's like, yeah. But yeah, him and Irvin both have crossed over from SCL. But there's a couple other guys like Dennis Colruyt. I don't know if you've heard much from him. He was at World's Strongest Man one year, and Dana Sagaris is another guy from Latvia.
I was going to bring him up. I've seen Dana Sagaris' name on a lot of shows, but I haven't been able to see a stream or watch him compete, and I really want to.
You know that show that Tyler did in Finland, the Record Breaker show, they had a 400-kilo car deadlift. And a lot of times strongman shows, they'll put a number on these events, but they're not really, it's a guess. But they actually use a forklift to weigh the implements. So it's usually pretty close to accurate. And Ivan Makarov was at that show, and he did very well, obviously on the deadlift. That's kind of his thing. But Danis beat him, and Danis has, I think, the world record for 400 kilos per reps on a regular bar. So he's a serious competitor. He doesn't get as much airtime because in the US and UK scene, the SCL is kind of separate from that, so they don't get top. Although this year they are going to do SCL in the UK for the first time in Gloucester, which is like kind of close to Wales, I guess. And there's rumors that Tyler and I may both be able to do that one. We'll have to see how things work out, but that'd be competing in front of a UK crowd. I mean, that's where it's at. Those Giants live shows, that they get like huge crowds in those stadiums. So I'm looking forward to that if that works out.
Yeah, that sounds like it'll be a ton of fun.
Yeah, but yeah, there's quite a few guys over there that compete that don't get as much airtime, I guess, but they're really good competitors. So it's nice when you get to see guys like Ivar's cross over, and he's done really well so far with World's Strongest Man, and he's only 28 or 29, so he's got a few years left to progress, and I think we'll see some big things from him.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler, like I do my strongman strength ranking, so I track all of the events of all the shows, as many as I can. And Dennis's name kept coming up, and I'm like, I gotta watch this guy. Like, where can I find him? He's doing well in a lot of places here.
Yeah, going against him sucks. He's well.
I can imagine.
he doesn't really have it. He doesn't have a standout event, but he doesn't have a weak event. Is the thing. He's very consistent, so he'll be top 3 in everything. I mean, that's how you win shows. So
yeah, for sure. Do either of you have a show you're looking most forward to watching that you're not competing in this coming year?
Boy, I don't know.
I would say
Classic seems to be like it's going to be a top dog show.
Which one?
Like,
that's what I was going to say.
The Shaw Classic.
Shaw Classic, yeah.
Because last year was super impressive with the turnout that he had, and now I think it's building into, he has a from what I heard, there's going to be an amateur, kind of an open category alongside the pros, and from what I've heard, I don't know if this is still occurring or not, and whoever wins that amateur level or the open show will be invited next year to the Shaw Classic, like the main event. So that's nice. He's doing it right. But Brian Shaw is a mastermind with, as far as like the YouTube, the equipment, the things that he's done with like apparel and now the show. The guy is killing it. He's doing really well. So I'm excited to see that this year. Every big name you could imagine is going to that one.
Yeah, I saw he announced all the names already.
Yeah,
it'll be a good one.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right. And then John, you were going to say a different show, I think.
Oh no, I was going to say the Shaw Classic.
Oh
too.
Yeah.
Although now knowing that the Magnuson Classic is a thing, that's going to be up on my list in subsequent years. That would be one that I would love to go to. Just because you can't. That's a once in a lifetime scenery and everything. Just to see Iceland like that would be up there too. But I think for the immediate future for this year, I'd say the Shaw Classic. I definitely have my eyes on that one.
What kind of odds do you give Trey to repeat?
I think he looks good. I haven't seen a whole lot of his training footage recently, but Trey's one of those guys that also, he doesn't have the highest log press out there, but he's probably second or third highest. He doesn't have the highest deadlift, but he's one of those guys that's like so consistent with everything that I don't see. I don't know. It's going to be tough for others to challenge him. I think. I definitely think his chances are good for a repeat. Yeah.
What do you think, Tyler?
He's up there for sure. I was actually shocked watching it last year, how it unraveled, watching him. But about halfway through the show, whatever that was, day one or whenever that was completed, I was thinking, wow, he's on fire. Whatever he's doing, however he prepped for this, this is his. He's just kind of running away with it. But I kind of have a feeling this year, just because I just recently saw him at OSG, Evan Singleton is a mountain right now, and ridiculous. He's kind of been building, and every year he's just getting better and better. So I have a feeling this might be his, but we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, Evan had 2 Giants Labs wins last year, right?
Yeah, he's just been on the tip. And he's, like I said, I just saw him and I was like, what the hell happened? What did you eat yourself? What, you were already massive and now you look like you're gonna pop. He's so big and he's staying athletic. That's the thing that I think he's going to be very well rounded for the Shaw Classic. We'll see.
Yeah. Speaking of good personalities for Strongman, he brings the energy.
Oh yeah, he's got that WWE background, which is funny because oftentimes you'll see him short little clips or whatever where he's kind of being a bit of a loudmouth or kind of putting on a show or whatever. In person, he's like the friendliest, just like everyone else is Strowman. He's the friendliest, but you can have a conversation with him all day long. Sometimes I think he's a little abrasive, at the shows or whatever, but he's doing it for a purpose. It's part of the show.
We've heard that from several other people before. Like, not that it's a show or a persona. It kind of is a little bit, but they say off camera he's the nicest guy ever. That's what everybody tells us.
I think he doesn't have a choice. I think it's like ingrained in him because of the WWE. Like even if he didn't have to behave that way, he probably still would because that's where he comes from.
It's a talent, man. I'm not dogging the guy. It's a talent.
Not at all.
It's great. It's great.
Like again, going back to who's my favorite to compete with, the two that I would say, although everyone at OSG was awesome, but more recently, within the last year or two, I've competed with Wesley and Crowder at I don't know how many shows now, but those two guys are two of the friendliest guys. We're competing against each other. Spencer Remick as well. I haven't competed with him as much, but saw him at OSG. Everyone in the back is helping each other out. You might have someone come off the car walk and say, hey, this is what just happened. You got to watch out for this. Make sure the back is dragging a little bit. That everyone's helping each other. It's pretty incredible sport in that sense that everyone is super friendly.
Yeah, absolutely. Spencer's been on the show. He's a really good guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah,
he's another one of those guys that doesn't get talked about a lot, doesn't get posted a lot, but he's slowly been making his way up through the ranks, and now I think he's got some big things ahead of him too. So yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, just generally speaking, strong man and strong women, they've all been very welcoming and very nice. I reached out to Pablo and I thought, I don't know if there's going to be a language barrier. He's like, no, next time I'm in the States, I'll do an interview. So cool.
Yeah,
that would be interesting.
Yeah,
he's a cool guy.
Yeah, he seemed.
It'd be cool to see him get a redemption shot. Maybe be able to do a couple more pro shows because I think he's got some. If he can manage his PR. Image, if you want to put it that way, I think.
I'm talking about.
And
I'm talking about Cordiaca.
I thought you were. Oh, the guy who won OSG. I thought you were talking about the other. Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about.
Guy,
you're talking about Nakoneta. You're talking about Cordiaca.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other.
We'll see what happens in the future, but
yeah,
there may be some bridges burned. Who knows? We'll see.
Both Pablos competed together at Middle East Strongest Man, I believe.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah. Cordiaca did better. He was second to Evgeny Markov.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He's a monster.
Yeah,
have you guys been paying attention to Markov at all?
Was he the one that won the Arnold, Tyler, when you
did
the
yeah.
Arnold?
This is another
There's
2 Pavlos, and there's Marakov and Markov. And
Ivan Makarov and then Ivan. Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know anything about him. The first day he didn't, he hung in there. He didn't really do much. And then I think the second day with the whatever it was, the farmers, he killed it. It seems like any of those Russian or those guys are killer on yoke and farmers. They just murder all day long.
Moving events,
yeah. And that's where I fall apart. So I was like, who is this guy now? I had to worry about Dave and all these other guys. Who is this guy now?
Yeah, he was great on Atlas stones at Middle East. He was picking them up with no struggle. It was just really weird to watch because even if you can manage the weight, you should make it look like you're trying. It's just Markov is crazy with those kind of events. But yeah, Pablo Cordiaca was second there, so I knew he would do really well at OSG.
Yeah, OSG was the first time I had ever seen him, and I was really impressed. He's quite an athlete for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Great things coming. So I don't want to keep you guys all night, even though, John, you're living in the past in Colorado. But
yeah. Well, I got to go look at the schedule too, see if they added any OR cases. They would call me and let me know. But,
yeah.
Not like I'm letting in the break room, letting people die out there.
It's kind of important. Yeah. I use cheesy jokes like that all the time. I have family in Italy, so when we have presidential elections, I call them and I'm like, "Who won?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?" You live in the future. Tell me who won.
It's hilarious.
Oh man, but cool. Yeah. So we talked about some of the great things you guys have coming up. Any sponsors you want to shout out, or really anything else you would like to promote to wrap us up for the evening? That would be wonderful. And the time is yours.
Well, we kind of have the same spot. I think maybe John has another one, but Tough Wraps, of course, and Fusion. We both have the same. That's like the supplement company that we're both sponsored by. So, and both of us, I think we have our like the links in our bios and all that, the discount codes and whatnot.
Nice. Yeah, Tough Wraps has been really good to us. They have a UK division that's been really active with Strongman. They're the equipment sponsor for SCL, and then they also sponsor some individual events and everything. And so they've been really good to us. And then Fusion actually was started by a guy that lived in Fairlawn. Him and his family have now moved down to Florida. But it was a guy I had met years ago when I was doing CrossFit. I actually did CrossFit for a little bit. I sucked at it except for the barbell stuff. So I'm not really meant to be doing whatever muscle ups and gymnastic stuff and long distance running, but the barbell stuff I liked. But anyway, yeah, so he had always had a passion for this stuff, and he started his own company, and so we jumped on board with him, and he's got great products. If you're familiar with the Massonomics podcast, I think he's one of their sponsors now, so he's getting a little more publicity. He's one of the smaller supplement companies out there, but he's getting a little more publicity, and really basic lineup, but all the stuff works. It's all got, all the ingredients are scientifically dosed and stuff, so works for me. And he's a great guy. So yeah, that's definitely a company worth checking out. The Fusion Sports Performance it's called. And then I've been using for coaching. I've been using Simon Yates, who's which Tyler, you might want to show your coach too. He's coaches Adam Bishop, and he's helping coach Terry Hollins now, not for strongman but for bodybuilding. But he wanted to get into some online stuff, so I have been doing remote coaching with him, and that's been going pretty well. And then for diet, I've been using a guy, Taylor Gone, who he goes by Taylor Drawl on Instagram. You guys might have seen him because he's been working closely with Ben Pollack, the power lifter who went into bodybuilding. So I guess he did several years under Chris Duffin at Kabuki and learned a lot of his coaching stuff there. But he's been handling my diet. And my goal is for this year, I've always been a little undersized for these competitions, so I'm trying to come in a little heavier this year. So he's been working with me on just setting up my diet, and so that's been going really well too. So that's Taylor Draw on Instagram. But that's pretty much my squad.
Taylor was just on. Taylor and Ben, we're both just on with. Why am I blanking on that name?
Mark Bell's thing.
What is Powercast?
Powercast, I think.
And same with the guy that I work with for coaching. He's not really into like coaching a lot of people right now. He's kind of taking some different routes or whatever. Andy Triana, I think for the last, I'd say 6 months, I've been working with him. He's a guy from New Jersey who just moved back to New Jersey, and he works with like some professional like guys in the NFL, things like this, and he's been in strongman for a very long time. And he also trains at Johnny's occasionally. So he kind of said, hey, I'm here all the time. Why don't I'll start doing some of your programming for you. And he was also just on Mark Bell. So you can find him on the Powercast. It's like the most recent episode. And then on Instagram, he's under Go Superbrain. That's his new project he's working on. So he's got some really cool information on there. So
awesome. That's awesome. And one of these days, Tyler, you're going to see some weirdo knocking on the window at Johnny's, and that'll be me.
Yeah, you got to come on by. You'll be impressed with the amount of equipment he has slammed into that gym. It's absurd.
Yeah, but does he let people in there who have never lifted a log before?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, he would. I've talked to him about, because when John came onto this, the first podcast with you guys that he did, I mentioned your name to Johnny. He said, oh yeah, I've seen him on Instagram, whatever. We've had a couple of different talks. He said, yeah, you should come by, maybe do like a joint one, me, Johnny, whoever else, whatever, do some filming, something like that. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely set that up.
Yeah,
so many cool athletes in New Jersey. And John, it's funny you mentioned Fairlawn is really close to me. It's funny when you guys mention places that New Jersey's getting some notoriety now.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a few strong people coming out of there. So
Yeah,
pretty cool.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's awesome having you both on. Thanks for giving us all the time, all the great stories. Now I know why you're friends with Travis. You guys have some great stories of your own. So this is really cool. And we definitely have to have you back on again for part 2. But thanks for joining us, and we'll do it again soon. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All righty. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Ciao,
All
homie.
right, take care.